Hi, it's Christine from the European Startup Association, and I'm here with Edoardo from Gellify, and it's one of our investment companies for our association, and we're super excited to have you on board, and we just want to get to know you a bit better, so I hand over to you so that you can explain a bit about yourself and about Gellify and how it works.
Absolutely. Thank you. So yeah, two words about me. I come from, the startup environment, medtech, insurtech, and then I jumped over to venture capital. A little bit more about Gellify, which is more important to me. We've been around for 2 years. We're fairly young. And so far we've invested around 12 million in 24 different startups. We've had 2 exits so far, and 4 more are coming in the next 3-4 months. And what else is important to say? Oh yeah, we've had 5 companies that have been put on Gartner's Magic Quadrant after our investment, which is pretty cool, right? So that's fun stuff. Now the important thing I'd like to say about Gellify is that we are a different type of let's say company. On one side, yes, we do invest, and so that is one of our main focuses. On the other side, though, we have a full-on consulting division. Now, this consulting focuses on digital transformation and pretty much on everything that concerns the digital transformation field. So it goes from technology to strategy to sales, R&D, the whole management. So these are 2 very complementary sides of the same company. And it's important because on one side you invest in innovation, and on the other side you consult for large companies that need innovation. So the 2 sides, help each other out. Let me see if there's anything else. I think that could be enough. Or actually, no. The most important thing I was about to forget. So we've actually just closed our next fund. We will be Azimut's management company. If you don't know who Azimut is, it's one of Europe's largest wealth managers. It's a company that has 50 billion in assets under management, and we're going to be the management company of their fund. It's going to start, I'd say in Q3 of 2020. And it's going to be a 75 million fund. So that will give us, some more firepower to have some fun with startups. So yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Tell me a bit more about how Gellify works, who you're working with, and what you're actually doing. Because you mentioned innovation, which is super important in any company, really, because everything changes all the time in the world, and you always have to be on the ball and you innovate. And that means different things for different companies, for different people. But at least you need to be open to change, I would say. And innovation can come in various places and does not, I know you're focusing on tech, but does not necessarily have to mean tech. So I would like to understand a bit more how you work and what you actually do. You mentioned consulting for big companies, and we also understand that usually it's difficult for big companies to innovate. So that would be interesting to hear your point of view, understand a bit more how you work, and then how big companies can actually innovate.
Okay, so I'll actually answer those questions in reverse order. So I'll go first with the second one. Yeah. So how do big companies innovate? Is it easier for them? Is it hard for them? What are the issues? And then maybe I'll answer the first one, which is how we do what we do, and how we do what we do in a good way, hopefully in a good way, right? So big companies, it's hard for them. Well, this is a very standard answer I can give you. We've seen this a lot lately, which is the reason behind the shift towards the B2B investing. It's hard for companies to innovate, for their size, their speed, their legacy. There's a lot of different things, internal processes that prevent large companies from making quick and bold moves, right? While it's easier for startups to do it just because of their size, agility, how they're built from the inside, right? So this also is very standard. So the reason, how can we be probably better or equally whatever to anyone else is just by connecting companies. Now here is what I want to focus on, right? So this connection. Great startups might have issues finding expats, business projects, anything at all with large corporations, simply because there is no true and deep, connection or glue, or they don't speak the same language, right?
Yeah.
So this is what we believe. This is how we believe we can help, our startups, which is by uniting our consulting side and our investment side. We have knowledge of corporate issues, corporate problems, what they're really looking for in terms of innovation. We know if they want to acquire companies. We know what they truly need. And on the other side, we invest in innovation, right? We invest in the startups. So we know what these startups do, how they can help the corporations, and how they can move to better interact with these entities. Now, I like to refer to startups as the supply side of innovation and the corporations the demand side of innovation, right? So that's what I think we can do, and that's what I think not we can do, but that's what I think how we can help, right, our startups. And pushing on to this as well, if you see investors as important in a in the deal in itself, you simply see us as the connection between these two worlds. I think that an investor has to be the person that ties different people, different languages, right? Because the corporate and the startup language are completely different, and has to be able to speak both. And at least from my personal experience, coming from startups and eventually joining the VC world, helps me put together these two people. Just because I know one, I know the other, right? Um, and so yeah, and so how do we work now? Again, who really is Gellify? And this is, I think, is a cool thing about us, right? So we're not really a fund, we're not really a company. We are an innovation platform. We put together the investment side, we put together the consulting side, the community side, the corporate side, the consulting, the university, everything that comes together, right, in one small place. This is what we call the Gellify community. Now, of course, I am part of the investment team, and my direct job is to find great ideas, great people, and help them out as much as possible. Of course, the other side of my job is to find great paths and help companies build what I call not much the product market fit, but the product company fit, right? So what's really important for me is that the startups are shaped in a way that can help them be fully absorbed by the acquiring company. This means that they have to be not just ready with a product, but ready to have that product intertwine with the processes of the company that's eventually buying them. And this sometimes is very hard to do because you don't have that inside point of view in the corporation. You can fight with them, have a great time with them, have projects, anything at all, but it's hard to see exactly how they work unless you have people on the inside. And that's what we try to do, right? So we try to be that substitute for those people on the inside, just because we've known them, we've built companies before, we've had successful exits, and we're trying to do that again. Do you think I'm missing something?
No, but information that might be very relevant as well is what kind of startups and what kind of companies you're looking for. So you mentioned tech, anyone who has basically a software, but any other specifics that you would like to mention?
Definitely. Thank you for reminding me that. Of course. So our main vertical is B2B enterprise software. Now, what I mean with B2B enterprise is simply companies that aim at selling their products to large corporations, right? So having, let's say, this is a fun example, right? Having your revenue coming from maybe 10, 20 key clients and not from 1,000 or 2,000 clients. So let's say the top spectrum, the top side of the spectrum of the B2B, the furthest away from the B2C, right? So that's what we aim for. We are market agnostic, as in we like everything that is B2B enterprise software. Of course, we have a deep liking for industry, fintech, insurtech, cybersecurity. Pretty much, those are the main trends. But I like to see myself as market agnostic, and anything cool, send my way.
Okay, we will. And everyone who sees this, obviously, feel free to contact him as well, or contact me, and then I'll put you in contact. But yeah, I think that was it. It's super interesting, and we're very excited to have you guys on board. And we can see that we can hopefully provide a lot of value to you, and looking forward to seeing you at one of our next events. So yeah, thank you so much for your time, and we will talk very soon.
Awesome. Thank you.